So, a new Ultraman series premiered a couple weeks ago, Ultraman Geed. This last week, it went live for free users on Crunchyroll, since I don't have a Crunchyroll account. Episode 2 is up there now, and it's going to go public tomorrow, so I'm kind of behind on this. So, I checked it out, and it's really good. I know a lot of people said great things about Orb last year, but when I actually took a look at it myself, in its first episode, I really could not get beyond the directing and just the whole staging of the first episode. If it was good beyond that, I'm happy for you guys who enjoyed it. The first episode was too terrible for me to want to continue going. Here, though, it more hooks me with just how they set up and stage events with the protagonist Riku, who is actually played by an Ultra Series alumni. He was a previous temporary host for Ultraman Zero, and Ultraman Zero's events in the Ultra Galaxy Mega Monster battle movies. I'm probably getting the name wrong because those movies wrong because that's, I think, the first or second one. It's kind of hard to stay contiguous with that, but he was a host to Ultraman Zero, and for a short time alongside his brother. I haven't actually seen the movies. I just pulled up the wiki article briefly to try and get associate the names correctly. And the whole Ultraman Zero storyline is actually pretty big and important to understanding the backstory to what's going on. I mean, the show tries to make it to the basics. There's this evil guy who destroyed the universe, and his name is Belial, and our protagonist is actually unknowingly his son, because in the fighting against Belial, they kind of pseudo-reset the universe and sealed all the Ultraman saved the universe by resetting it, and sealed all of themselves into capsules so their power could be kept safe. The capsules being the toyetic gimmick of the series, because since Tsuburaya was bought out, Bandai has a large shareholder there, so they help, like Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, they help fund the Ultra Series' episodes to pretty much just shell a toy gimmick, and this has been a thing with the series since I think the first one to really do it big was Ginga. As I've said, I'm not a big follower of the Ultra series. I don't have problems with it. In fact, I just got Ultra 7, the DVD release of Ultra 7 earlier this year. You might have seen it in some of my past episodes up on my set, right next to the Super Sentai DVDs. But I appreciate it, but I'm not that big a fan. So I want to give the various shows a shot as I see them, and as I should rephrase, I want to give each of them a shot as I get around to them. If they hook me, that's good. If it's not, well, that was Orb last year. But here, this one was very interesting for me because, I discussed this in the Ultraman Tika video, Ultra Series continuity is kind of hard to follow. Essentially, there's a big Ultra Series multiverse, which started off with the original shows, and then they kind of diverged and did their own thing, but they wanted to do something else divergent. And then one of the later shows established that, no, this is not a bunch of continuity errors, this is just a big multiverse where the existence of certain Ultras and series events are selective. So pretty much any Ultra series can either build on a previous show's universe or start fresh with any characters they want to, as hey, if this is another universe, then maybe not the same rules do not apply. And okay, that's a lot better than how Toei does it, where some actors respect past continuity and others trying to ignore and rewrite it. So it just ends up a mess, even though Toei official policy says that all of their shows are supposed to occur in one continuity. They're just standalones. So whatever. It's messy, but it's like they're acknowledging, I guess, the MST3K rule. It just tell yourself it's just a show, and you should really just relax on these details. And since they kind of say that themselves at times, it's like, okay, we're going to give you this. So this factors in as Belial is like the uber bad Ultra, from what I understand of what I have seen, what I have looked up, and he just ever since Ultraman Zero's movies, he just keeps coming back at various points. So he's a major recurring antagonist, and he actually succeeds in blowing up the universe. That's actually pretty interesting, and at least as a way to start a series, because now we're in a universe with different rules that may apply than what's expected, because they've established this whole reset there. I'm kind of sticking the same points because I don't even know. Back in point, it shifts from this crisis impact, which is what they call this time reset, to the modern day, where the crisis impact Earth believes was just a meteor shower. They're not aware that time or the universe was reset to save it. So all they have is just some fragments of recollection of what those events even were. Some damaged records of the true events, and some drawings. One of them showing a outline of Ultraman Balion in them, with focus then shifting to the protagonist of the series, Riku Asakura. And on his Wikipedia article, they kind of had... Do I still have that up? I do still have that up, don't I? Yeah, Riku Asakura, and... Yeah. His name is actually a in-joke pun, as Asakura is... the kanji they chose for it, the Asa is the kanji for epoch or dynasty, and Kura is the kanji for dark, sorrowful / bitter. So, and Riku has the kanji for agony and separation. So, essentially, his name is kind of a tip-off to how his character is going to end up being portrayed, as Riku, over the course of the episode, is revealed to be the son of Belial, who has taken human form. He is subject to all the sins his father committed, even though it's like, the Japanese thing. The sins of the father are subject and reflected in and must be paid by the son. So, but it's interesting how they start this off, as Riku doesn't know any of this. Riku was part of the timeline reset and believes he is actually a human. The only one who doesn't think it is his alien roommate, who no one else knows about. That was only saved by Riku actually hearing his call. So pretty much what this timeline reset did is left him an amnesiac and let him develop his own self again. And from what is shown here, the reset version of Riku's... The reset... Again, blanking on what I want to say. I don't know why I'm doing that today. But the clean slate that was Riku after this reset developed into an overall nice person. He works part-time at a general goods store. Not even a full store, just kind of a kiosk with a kind man who runs it, and if there are local friends, he sometimes gives them like free items to be nice. So it's like he's developed in an environment where he is a good, kind person, and he even has a role model. And this is one of the hilarious things about the character. He watches tokusatsu heroes on his own TV in his apartment. So it's like he was influenced by just general pop culture to have the basic identity of a kind-hearted hero. And when kaijus, of course, the giant monsters have to come in somehow, start attacking his city, he's left homeless, destitute, and some of his friends in trouble by the rampage as he tries to figure out what to do, only for a capsule and secret base set up by Belial to find him alongside an AI, I should say. This entire thing that found him was being run by an AI who identified him as Belial's son at the end of the episode. finds him and just gives him the equipment because it thinks that it's his right and privilege due to his genetic markings to like have this stuff. It's his birthright, and thus it's up to Riku to decide what to do. And he goes and fights this kaiju by using this device, which it is initially called a riser, but he names the Geed Riser, which is based on his, I shouldn't say catchphrase, but it's on here somewhere. Sitting around doing nothing won't get us anywhere. That's his motto. That's his catchphrase. And in Japanese, because that's the translated version of the phrase, it includes the sounds right next to each other for his name, Geed. It comes directly from that. Actually, I think I can probably pull up the frickin'. I should definitely be pulling up the actual phrase with the character because it probably has the. Yeah. Okay. Jito shite domo don. Jito shite temo donimo narane. I have no idea why I had trouble pronouncing that. I'm usually much better on the pronunciation. The secondary motifs for the name being Gene and Seed, because he is the spawn of one of the most nefarious entities of the Ultra franchise. So you got a lot of good symbolism with the character going here with just the naming trends and his character epochs, and yeah, I like the multi-layered aspects to all of this and his actions, especially since after he transforms with the Geed Riser by using two of these Ultra Capsules. I actually like the backstory to the Ultra Capsules too. They were made by Ultraman Hikari, Ultraman Light, in the Land of Light as a way to store Ultraman power. And essentially, the thing with the Ultraman is they become weaker if they do not have contact with the Land of Light or just a way to replenish solar energy. So they become weak and die after so long away from this source of power. The way I see these Ultra Capsules being designed as them being temporary ways to maintain their power away from these home sources. They don't say that in the show, but that is definitely something implied with how they're described to store Ultraman power. So this works for me, since as the best transformation trinkets and toy line collectibles I find are ones that you don't shove them into the show, you give them purpose and narrative reason to exist beyond just, that gimmick. I like the shift cars not from Drive because they kind of characterized them. They were utilized pretty decently, and they were all distinct. Another one a lot of people like are the Gaia Memories because they were plot important, but they weren't shoved down people's throats with how they were integrated. O's built their entire show around them, but in ways where it was like they had significant relevance to the power levels of the villains and also the power of the rider. So it's like they were never shoved in there obnoxiously. And the thing with the capsules seems kind of the same way. I didn't see much of Ginga, or like I said, I didn't watch Orb past the first episode. So I don't know if they were that consistent with it in other Ultra series, but this way, it feels well justified in how they put together this narrative for it. The capsules, as has been the recurring gimmick in the Ultra series, I do know this part, is a lot of the recent Ultras are fusing the power of two Ultras, two prior Ultras, to create their current form. They don't have quite, okay, I know Orb did this. I should say that Ginga had his own actual transformation thing, and he just then transformed into other Ultraman as an additional power. So there's definitely a difference to that. So I think it's if I'm remembering things correctly, he's following in orbs. Though I know there was another there was an Ultraman X in there that might have done that. It's like I'm I'm not an Ultra expert, so please be kind to the comments about this because I know I am probably forgetting or missing or stating something that is actually wrong. Again, not a significant. I don't know that much of the Ultra series, okay? But these fusions are all interesting as one of the they look like they're all based on a fusion of Belial, and I don't think they have that. Yeah, Geet's default. Yeah, his base Ultraman capsule. His base form is based on the fusion of Ultraman and the original Ultraman and Ultraman Belial. So all of his forms look to be drawing a no Ultra 7 and Leo, Ultra Cosmos and Hikari. Magnificent isn't labeled. No wait, yeah, Father of Ultra and Ultraman Zero. Royal Mega Master is Geet's ultimate form, which uses assets of Ultraman King. Go figure. But even in this base form, to even create his true form, he's calling directly upon the powers of his quote-unquote father and all of his evil, and it is forcing him to ultimately confront that, and there are signs that he's already recovering his memories simply from use and seeing himself in action from news recordings that are played back for everyone of the hero who saved them. So he's going to have to eventually confront the fact that he is the indelibly related to the villain or the evil faction that's doing all this horrible stuff to people, which is in contrast to the good-natured heroism that you expect of him. It really kind of feels like how Kamen Rider usually operates, with its whole Cross of Fire themology, where their powers and abilities inevitably relate directly to the villains they're fighting, and sometimes even originate from them, so there is an inherent, I don't want to say sin, but the only difference between the monsters they face and their status as heroes is the humanity present within them, and Riku is only human in appearance, but in spirit, because of him going blank slate and living natively with everyone, might have actually have an influence on these memories that he's getting back. Like, I see him becoming conflicted and ultimately deciding to go down the path of the Protector, turn away from this legacy of evil that he was born into, and become his own person. So, I am very interested just from those setup details for the show, and the show actually looks very good. The scenes are all very well presented. I think this is a Koichi Sakamoto series, actually, where I'm double-checking the wiki again, because I really should have been freaking doing that. Yes, it is directed by Koichi Sakamoto, and it looks really good. They use a good mix of CGI and stunts. Even in one of the fight scenes, they, Riku, as Geed, comments on how everything around him is so flimsy, and, like, the ground beneath him is, like, feels like sand. This is all being a joke around how he is fighting on a stage set where, in comparison to actually, it's a double-layer joke about both the set and his physical power as a full-grown Ultraman in the show, where that the world has literally become cardboard to him on both in comparison to his strength and where he is in the show. That is very good lampshading of your setting. No, not lampshading your setting. It's like it's a good in-joke for the audience. Yeah, the show looks very good. The aesthetic is very good. The framing of all the events is very good. The cutaway CGI of the cities and everything there is good. I'd really recommend checking it out. And who knows, maybe if I can keep up with it, I might continue to talk about it here, since well, I'm not doing Sentai this year. Garo is away off from doing anything as well. I'm really kind of just starved for vlog discussion content for Tokusatsu stuff. Ex-aid, though. This was... It's a slower episode, but it's ranking up the tension so that you more feel the impact of its climax, as this is the one where Emu kills Parad and loses his ability to become Ex-aid. It's like, and it's the slow pacing of this helps build up the tension to the situation. Like, it starts simply with Kronos coming after Parad and Graphite to eliminate them and secure his rule, as for some reason now he actually... Okay, not so much that he wants Game Deus to appear, but he's at its wit's end at trying to get rid of Muteki, since, well, the entire plan with Kagami entirely blew up in his face because he grasped too hard onto someone who well, let's say he made a bad business decision in who he tried to turn with his little hostage game. So, he's just saying screw it and doing it directly, all while he's in the process of marketing Kamen Rider Chronicle internationally, and has contracted this other company to help with distribution, who also want a gamer driver. And this is all seeding for the movie Ex-aid True Ending, which should be debuting in a couple weeks, and is going to be set in between some of the later episodes. So it's kind of like they're setting up hard for that, and I'm thinking they're going to be AUing the movie in kind of the same way they did the Fruit Soccer Cup, in that it ties into the main story's narrative, but is for the most part set in an alternate universe setting that just how that alternate universe is created is tied into the events in the show and how it gets going. I don't know, this is just my guess, but it's kind of seeded from a few of the phrasing of statements made by people in how the world seems to be coming to an end with all the plans in motion. But anyways, Emu rescues Parad, who is pretty much paralyzed in the face of facing Kronos, even as Graphite is beaten down pretty heavily, even though he too can now resist the power of pause because of Game Deus's infection giving him more power, and enough power to actually resist all of that. This leads a question to be held, and I kind of got into it last week on the possible irony of Game Deus actually manifesting through Kronos, in that Kronos' big ability that would allow would allow the user of Kronos to fight Game Deus and even terms was the ability of pause. But if if Game Deus's power permits a level 99 Bugster to resist the power of pause and be in the frozen time like that, then doesn't that mean Game Deus himself would be immune to pause, and thus the entire point of gathering Kronos as an ally, or becoming Kronos from being a Rider player to defeat Kronos defeat Game Deus, is rendered moot by that ability, or has, like an infection involving, would all the times Graphite and Parad have been exposed to it allowed Game Deus's infection to adapt to pause, so as it wasn't meant to do that originally, but is a virus that is mutated into possessing that ability. That is a horribly bad connotation for the series endgame either way around. Anyways, as Emu saves Parad is like freaking out because everything is going against him. He's worthless against Kronos. He's scared of death for the first time in his existence. just a minor show development issue with that. It really would have helped had they continued to show that with him since Loverka's death, and not just have this seem to be the first time in a while they've even addressed it. It's like the first few episodes after Kronos' first appearance, and then it seemed to go away from his character entirely. It would make more sense to have that as a constantly seeded thing of why he's trying to get Emu to work with him constantly, like a stutter in his voice when discussing Kronos, or maybe showing his hand shaking in fear like they emphasize here, would have much better helped the development to this point where even being around Kronos seems to induce something close to a panic attack in Parad. Anyways, Kronos isn't too concerned about losing to Emu for much longer, because Emu's going to end up killing Parad himself. Why? He somehow infected Nico with Game Deus' virus, and this was done off-screen. As I was using last week with Graphite infecting his bile driver with Kronos' infection spores again, is that he could use that to infect Nico, but that's never stated in the episode. It's conveyed through last week's events, but it's like, I think they should have spent another minute on that development instead of just, who was it? Kyria finding Nico collapsed in a hallway after visiting Taiga for, to help, in encouragement for him to get well, and her glitching out with this white data, and Kyria seeing the marker for the, in his, I'm forgetting the name of their specialized stethoscopes for game syndrome analysis, and when he sees that marker, he doesn't know what it is, and Kuroto immediately recognizes it as Game Deus' infection. So, and of course, by now we've established that the only way to get rid of this infection, such an infection, was a game clear with the relevant bugster by either defeating it or befriending it, as they did with Poppy. And I'm just restating the detail. I have no idea why I'm restating this. It's like we've seen this all season. So, but it's different this time, as they can't actually get to that bugster to get rid of his infection without killing the remaining two in the game. That are out there, and at this point, Graphite's half dead due to Game Deus' power tearing him apart inside, and Parad, well, if they kill Parad, Emu's power goes away. So it's pretty much the ultimate challenge of his resolve on this, in that his ability to save patients long term would be assisted if he retained his powers, if Parad was kept living. But it would cost Nico her life. But as Kuroto points out, they could just revive her from the Protogoth shot's save data, and she could be a bugster like again, I'm getting my car fixed. Anyways, it's pretty much just bringing together the resolve we've seen from Emu all season, and he's absolutely sinister at this point when he finally goes to confront Parad, and it's like the ultimate culmination of this life philosophy that others were challenging him throughout, I pretty much should say throughout the series. How far is he willing to go to stick to his resolve to save patients and prioritize their health and safety over any other cost? And in this situation, admittedly, there's no downside. Nico could be revived even if they lost her, but there's admittedly, what Kronos did with Saki could as easily be done with Nico. Okay, he actually can't do that with Nico's data because they have the Protogoth shots, but he could easily just steal them again, and set this thing all off, pull this whole hostage crisis all over again, and Emu's simply not going to let it go that far, and to do it, he goes ahead and eliminates Parad, and it's like it's not even, I shouldn't even say it's sinister so much as it's a entire reversal of the dynamic between Parad and Emu, in that Parad is constantly faltering and he doesn't want to go through with this as he's so scared, and Emu's going through this with a conviction I've not quite seen of a main rider in quite some time. It's like his resolve is like steel. He is going to save he's going to save Nico's life at all costs, and he does it. And in a way, it plays into Kronos' plans in getting the only person that actually can outdo him completely off the board. Like, so Paradox is down, Ex-aid is down, and the others can only just pass Muteki between them for so long before Kronos' paws will inevitably be able to work on them. So they're out of the game. Except, here's the problem. In the next episode's previews and advertisements, Ex-aid is repowered, and they show in the episode what is likely the cause, so it's like, you're spoiling how he actually comes back, and it has to do with the Mighty Brothers Gotshot, the one Parad created, both in Heisei Generations and in the series. He created it from, okay, I shouldn't say he created it, but he created it first in the movie by combining Mighty Action X and Gekitotsu robots, temporarily fusing them into the Gotshot. Then Kuroto gave him this black Gotshot with a ridiculous amount of Bugster data on it that would kill anyone else that was infected due to it, but Emu resisted it because of his long-running infection, giving him the tolerance to the virus. And when Emu used it, it created the Mighty Brothers Gotshot. So how I think they're going with this is the Mighty Brothers Gotshot is actually what manifests Parad's Bugster form now. So if Emu uses it, he should be able to reinfect himself with Parad's virus, and that'll restore his powers. That'll restore Parad into existence, and they already would have had the game clear flag for Paradox's powers in Kamen Rider Chronicle. He's no longer an obstacle to them clearing everything and rescuing everyone. So that might be their exit strategy for this, since Parad is part of the series for the true ending movie. Hell, this state of affairs between them might lead to him, I don't want to say redemption, but him being counted amongst the allies, and like that make a fourth allied Bugster Kamen Rider on the team alongside, Kuroto, Kiria, and Poppy, and pretty much give him the permanent living Bugster status, not from him like him devouring a human host to get his real data, but him and Emu acting in, I believe the term I want to use is symbiosis. Yeah, symbiosis, as one allowing the other to live while the other giving them a beneficial advantage and power, as there are viruses. There do exist out there beneficial viruses and bugs and infectious agents that do not harm their hosts but improve their well-being. So, especially since we've already had in the series the abilities of Maximum Mighty X, which can rewrite viruses after broken down the Bugster virus to just have that ability. So this is all entirely possible in the strategy they're going to be using for this, and that would be an interesting culmination to the storyline between them in leading to the series endgame, which is we're going to be on the last 5 or 6 episodes now, so we're pretty damn close. So yeah, that's it for me this week, and I'm sorry for the pausing and all the other delays in this one. I should consider clipping some of the bigger spaces. Again, with the double reviews, parts 3 is coming up on YouTube. Part 4 is releasing to Daily Motion this weekend, and thank you everyone who's been giving me the nice feedback about it. I know some people have been bringing complaints, but it's overall been positive, and thanks everyone for that. I really enjoyed putting together these ones, because Double's such a good show, so thanks for the well wishes back on that, guys. Yeah, that's all I got. I'll check out Geed episode 2 next week to kind of continue my coverage of it, and hopefully I'll be a bit more coherent about that next week as well. So I will see you all next time.